This conference will now be recorded.
Bam, there we go. Uh, and so this conference is going to be recorded, just so that I can go back and listen to it. And if you guys have questions, I can go back and answer those questions for you. So welcome to the WFM interest call. As you probably already know, I am super excited about workforce management. It has afforded me so many options in life. Even when I made a lot of errors in life, because I was introduced to this particular career path, it has allowed me to do so many different things. And so I'm super excited to share with you all what workforce management is, why companies need workforce management professionals, and how you too can get into workforce management. So I'm super excited. I want you to grab a pen, paper, so that you can jot down questions if you have them. Try to jot those questions down, and we'll try to save them to the very end. Or again, like I said, you can type them in the chat, and our general manager, which is Janika, you'll see her in the chat. She'll be typing as we proceed with the call today. Okay. So the call today is going to be, I just did the welcome, but we'll talk about my personal journey through workforce management, what workforce management is. If you don't already know, WFM is an acronym for workforce management, okay? So what workforce management is, your particular WFM career, how you can get into that industry, and then we'll have questions, okay? So let's talk about my journey through workforce management. As you can see what's on the screen, you see that there, but I like to be very personable. So I'll kind of tell you my hands-on experience. I started off in workforce management back in 2005, 2006 at a company called Wildcard. It got bought out by a company called not Liberty Medical, but they end up being Fidelity. Okay. So now, the 401k company known as Fidelity, that is who Wildcard is. But I started off there in Altamont Springs, Florida, or technically Maitland, on the phones, taking phone calls as an agent. And one day I picked up this book, and it was called Blue Pumpkin. Yep, Blue Pumpkin. So when I tell that to people who's in workforce management, they're like, oh my God, you're dating yourself. I didn't know you were that old. And I tell them I'm still young. But nevertheless, I started off reading this book. It was called Blue Pumpkin, and that is a workforce management system. And so I picked up the book, and I was like, I think I can learn this. Mind you, at the particular time, I was an agent on the phones, taking phone calls. So I started reading the book. And I said, I think I can do this. So our sister company, or our sister office down in Sunrise, Florida, which is down like South Florida, like Miami, Miramar, that area, their office was closing, which is where our workforce department was housed. Okay, so the people who did workforce management was in our Sunrise office. So Wildcard had two locations, one that was in Maitland and one that was in Sunrise, Florida. And I had been reading the book and everything like that. I'm kind of a geek, and the Sunrise office closed. Our workforce department was there, and nobody from Sunrise wanted to come to the Maitland office. And so I raised my hand. I was super young at the time and said, I think I can do this. And they were like, yeah, okay. And so they, oddly enough, gave me the opportunity, and I became a workforce analyst at that particular time. And so that's how I got my start in workforce management. That's where the bug bit me, and I started to realize, hey, I really like this. I like numbers. I like making big, huge impacts in companies. I love that these Fortune 500 companies need me. And so the workforce management bug kind of bit me, and I've been in it ever since. And so that was my entire career has been spent in workforce management. So unlike most teens, when they get a job, they're working at Publix or fast food restaurants. or different things like that. That's not my story. I started off in corporate America and I've remained there since, aside from running my own business. And so I started off in workforce management in around 2005. And like I said, I've remained there since. I then moved on to a company called Liberty Medical, which is down in Port St. Lucie. I did some consulting, workforce management consulting at Walgreens. You guys all know Walgreens. I then went over to United Healthcare, and that's where my career really started to really take off, was at United Healthcare. I started managing teams of workforce management professionals. Even one of my employees that used to work for me at United Healthcare is actually on the call, and so she'll tell you. Okay, thank you, Diamond. She'll tell you more about that here later. But then I did some consulting at Arise, then at Aspect, and now I even do consulting at a company called Barron. Okay, and so I wanted to share the history, my personal workforce management history with you, so that you also know that this isn't something that I started doing yesterday, right? Has been my entire career. I've spent 10 plus years helping Fortune 500 companies, again, like United Healthcare, Walgreens, Liberty Medical. I've even done some consulting at companies that you know, like Southwest, eBay, Google, to help them with their contact center operations. And I absolutely love it. So workforce management is something that you have to love, which is why this is an interest call. Okay, so this is a call to kind of teach you about what workforce management is, to see if it's something that you think you might be interested in doing, because it can be one of those things that really help you to start to gain more income and do other things that you might enjoy doing more than workforce management. So that's a little bit about my WFM history, my workforce management history, and my personal journey through workforce management. So currently now, you know, so Solid Rock Consulting was born because I love doing workforce management. And so I love teaching entrepreneurs about business and how to operate businesses, because I got that firsthand experience by working in corporate America. So Solid Rock was birthed, and then I started to teach entrepreneurs like, hey, this is how corporate would do it. And so that's how Solid Rock was born. And so now what I'm looking to do is really help train other workforce management professionals. Usually when I go into a corporate environment where workforce professionals, they're usually white males that are, you know, 55 and older. Sometimes you'll see white females in there, but you rarely will ever see blacks or African Americans, if I'm being politically correct, okay? And so I want to be able to train more people and make sure that everyone is learning about this particular career. Okay, so what is workforce management? Okay, workforce management is, or what is WFM? WFM is an acronym for workforce management. In a sentence, if I had to give you one sentence, workforce management is the process of forecasting workload and ensuring that there's adequate coverage to handle that workload. So if you've ever worked in a call center, or if you've ever called a call center, so say you're calling your bank, or you're calling your health insurance company, or you're calling your car insurance, or you're calling anywhere that has a call center, okay, and you stay on the phone for forever holding, usually the workforce management department did not forecast your call, so they didn't plan for you to call, so they didn't have enough people there to handle that particular call. Okay, so that is what workforce management is in a nutshell. So it's making sure that that department, the workforce management department, accurately forecast the amount of calls that are going to come in, or the workload. The reason I say workload is because there are all different types of contacts. You have calls. Nowadays, you have email, you have chat, you can chat online, right? That's the workforce management department that determines how many calls are going to come in, or chats that are going to come in, or emails that are going to come in for customer service. And they make sure that there's the right amount of people to handle that forecasted work. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's what workforce management is. Why companies pay so much money for this particular role or department is, one, they want to ensure that they have A+ customer service, right? If they don't have good customer service, then you're going to go out and tell your friends that, hey, I called Amazon and I had to wait for forever to get X, Y, and Z done, and you're not going to use Amazon, right? Or not going to use that particular company. And so companies pay a lot of money for the workforce management department because they want to ensure, one, they have good customer service. Their customers are taken care of so that their customers will be repeat customers. Okay. Then second is because they want to create a fair and equitable work environment. And so that just basically means that their agents are taken care of. Hey, I need PTO, making sure that they can schedule the PTO while also making sure that they take care of their customers, right? Because we all know that people need time off from work. Well, who's going to manage that? A lot of times people think that that's the human resources department, and it's not. In contact center environments, that is the workforce management department. Okay. And then lastly, but definitely not least, is because obviously they want to increase business revenue. Every time you wait on hold, that's costing the company money, right? And so they want to make sure that they have quick handle times, also known as average handle time, AHT. They want to make sure that they have quick average handle times, and they also have first call resolution, also known as FRC or FCR. First call resolution means that when you call the first time, you get the answer, you get the appropriate answer that you need so that you're not calling back, costing them another agent. Every time someone calls back to the call center, that is more money that the call center is spending to staff an agent. Okay. And so the least amount of times that you as a customer can have to call in, the better for the company. And so those are the main reasons. There are other reasons, but those are the main reasons that companies like Facebook, eBay, United Healthcare, Walgreens, these Fortune 500 companies make sure that their workforce department is adequately staffed, as well as compensated. Okay. So let's talk about your WFM career. If you were to decide to get into something like workforce management, what does that look like for you? Okay, so if you were to decide to get into workforce management, the reason I love workforce management is because it's taken me all over the world, literally. Canada, I have personally at Solid Rock, I have clients in Saudi Arabia. I have clients some of everywhere, and I worked some of everywhere simply because I have the workforce management background. And so what that looks like for you, you could be a business analyst, having a workforce management background. You could be a forecaster, you could be a scheduler, you could be just an RTA analyst. You can also be a consultant like I am now. I'm what I would be considered as a learning consultant. And so we'll talk more about that. Workforce management really has two sides to it. Okay, so you have what I like to call the operations side, which means you work in the call centers, right? And you're either a forecaster, a scheduler, a business analyst, or WFM analyst. That's the operation side. That means you're there for the long haul. And that's usually where most people get their start. That's where I got my start. I started off on the operations side. So I was working in Wildcard, and also now known as Fidelity, okay, as a workforce analyst. But as you matriculate or mature in your career, you can move over to the technical side. And if you're a tech person already, you could probably really start on the technical side. I love the tech side because the income is great. I get to travel. I get to meet a lot of different people. And it's workforce management. Okay, so you have the operations side, and then you have the tech side of workforce management, which usually means you're training people on workforce management, or you're training companies. So I'll go into a company for a short amount of time. For those of you that follow me or we're friends on social media, you'll see 1 week, like I just got back from, where did I get back from, Nikki? Tennessee. I just got back from Tennessee. And the week before that, I was in Texas. And the week before that, I think I was in Atlanta. I'm closing my eyes because I have to remember, like, because I'm usually gone every week when I'm in this consultant role. And that's because I'm on the tech side. So I'll go into companies and I'll train their employees on workforce management or on the tool. Okay. And so that's how you can really kind of career path through workforce management. If you're starting out in workforce management, a lot of times I tell people to start on the operation side because you kind of got to build. You got to build your learning. You got to know what you're doing in workforce management. And so I tell people to start off on the operations side. Okay. My personal career, I've been able to make anywhere from $50,000 in workforce management, all the way up to 120,000, and just being in my workforce management career. So I wanted to kind of show you some of my offer letters, just so I know a lot of times people say things, but they're not actually factual. But when I tell you that you can make really good money in workforce management, this is just my personal track record of some of the different companies that I've either did consulting in or I've worked in a job at. And so you can see here Rise, where I talked to you about earlier. I did some consulting there. Even though they labeled my position as a real-time adherence manager, I was making about 60,000 there. With the bonus, I had a 7% bonus, so I always negotiate my salary. Then that aspect, I did 95. By the time I got done with bonuses, I was at maybe 105, 110. And then here at Barrett, salaries 110, bonuses 8, and I'll probably make another 20 with just different things that I do there. So about 130, 140 there. And so you can make really good income working, or what I consider income. My personal expenses aren't more than 50,000 a year. I own a home, I have 3 children, and that's about it, right? And I'm married, right? So my personal expenses don't exceed around 50,000. So all of that extra income is now discretionary income. I can travel, I can put it into business, right? And so that was what I did to get Solid Rock started. And so that's really what prompted me to do this particular call is I wanted to be able to say, hey, I know you may be interested in making some additional income to start your business, because with Solid Rock, I'm always talking to entrepreneurs. And one thing that I find is that they're always running out of income. And if I can help you in any kind of way to kind of tell you what my journey was, I want to do that. And so my particular journey was that I made a surplus of income so that I was able to fund my business, right? So when I started Solid Rock Consulting, I didn't take out a loan. I made enough income that I could fund my own business. And while some other people, they do go get a loan or they do different things like that, that is completely fine. I'm always getting offers on LinkedIn, right? So this is Facebook, actually, one of their Facebook recruiters that are reaching out to me now about my background in workforce management. This is another company here. If you can see my screen, I don't even know they're down in Boynton Beach, but someone else. So if you're on my screen, you can see my screen. I'm on my LinkedIn. And what I'm basically showing you is that my workforce career, and this goes back years, like almost every week I'm getting hits on LinkedIn saying, hey, we need someone with your background. Hey, we need someone with your background. Hey, we need someone with your background. A lot of times I'm either between gigs or I'm doing a lot in business, so I can't take the engagements. And so I said, you know what, I really want to be able to train other people so that I can say, hey, go to this person. They've taken this training. They are great in workforce management and you can use them. However, because workforce management is such a niche industry, a lot of times I don't have people to refer to that particular job. And so I wanted to create a community where I train people on workforce management, and then be able to refer those jobs out, right? So I'm going to pause for just a moment, and I'm going to have Yolanda. Yolanda, are you on? Are you muted, Yolanda?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you. So
Okay.
Yolanda is actually one of, she worked for me at United Healthcare. Yolanda, can you tell them a little bit just about your, how you've been able to career path through workforce management, how you got introduced to it, and different things like that?
Okay. Well, my name is Yolanda Myers, and in 2013, going into 14, I interviewed with Juanita and another director that was in Optum at the time for a position in the Workforce Command Center there at Optum, and that's where I basically got my start in workforce. When I started initially in workforce, it was through a company, Connections. So of course the pay that Connections was paying wasn't didn't match what actual workforce analysts were making. So of course I started low, but when I got my first position as a workforce analyst, it was my very first position out was $40,000, and then following that, now currently I'm in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. But when I started in the command center, I was only making $13.50 an hour.
So tell them, I think Yolanda's story to me is so refreshing, because I remember when I first came over to, I came over from United Healthcare, but United Healthcare had bought a company called Connections, or Optum had bought a company. Optum is a subsidiary of United Healthcare, for those of you that don't know. So Optum and United Healthcare are basically one and the same. They're the same company. But they had just bought a company called Connections. And so they had brought me over from United Healthcare to build this major command center. And so I hired Yolanda, and Connections was really behind the curve on what they were paying people. But I kept saying to the command center staff, just learn, because none of them had workforce management background. I kept saying, learn workforce management. I'm not telling you anything that I wouldn't do myself personally. I have spent my entire career in workforce management. And if you learn these things that I'm telling you, I promise you that you can go to pretty much any company and ask for what you will. Because workforce management is so very niche. For those of you that are on that are entrepreneurial, you know that creating a niche is like the holy grail in business, right? If you can create a niche industry, or find your niche, then you can pretty much sell to unlimited amount of people. Well, it's the same thing on the employer and employee side. Workforce management is so incredibly niche that recruiters have a hard time finding people that not only know workforce management, but they know it intimately. And so usually when you find gigs, or gigs find you, like all of these right here, none of these jobs I applied for, not one. Not one. All of these, if I can take you back through my LinkedIn, these are all people that have reached out to me, just like this Facebook recruiter here is saying, hey, somebody at Facebook is interested in you. Are you interested in this job? And if I am, I'll reply, and say yeah, or sometimes I always try to reply, just to be cordial. But if I'm not interested, or it's not something that I want to take, then I'll refer it out, right? But I think Yolanda's story is so interesting to me, because she was one of the analysts that really took what I said, hey, learn this, learn that. And she immediately started to put it to use after, I left United Healthcare. And so I'm super excited, Yolanda, about just everything that you've been able to accomplish. And it's also helped you in your business. Tell me how it's helped you, because you now run a business. So tell me how workforce management has helped you in business.
So workforce has helped me in so many ways. It's kind of hard, it kind of hinders you in the sense of when you're in workforce, you're very analytical. So whenever someone's providing you information, you're kind of breaking it down in a different way. So it's kind of like they say most people in workforce don't have strong emotions, and that's true because they're analytical people. Like they look at the facts, the truth, they look at data. They don't really pay attention to all the fluff. So it's really helped me in my business when it comes to organization, when it comes to gathering information, preparing information. A lot of people would look at my business and say, I have a team, but it's really the principles that I've learned from workforce that has helped me implement and execute different things in my business a certain kind of way, because you have to even know project management a little bit in workforce. So it really expands your knowledge base and it crosses over into your business so effortlessly. Like you won't even realize, like Juanita said when she was talking to us in the command center about it. I know a lot of people on the team, there were 7 of us, a lot of people on the team was looking at her like, okay, you crazy. But I was thinking to myself, like, what if this actually works, And out of everyone that's still in there, anyone that took on the information from Juanita, the knowledge from Juanita, are still in workforce and are still growing. And the other ones that went after, other things, they're still struggling to get back in the workforce after seeing, okay, hey, this actually works, because it does work. The principles in workforce crosses over to your business, in your life. You'll become more organized. For me, I feel like since I've been in workforce, I'm a lot more organized than I was before. So there's a lot that you can learn in workforce that you can use for just about anything, business and life.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. So I'm going to open up the call now because what I wanted to do with this call, guys, is I have a wealth of information when it comes to workforce management. But like Yolanda said, workforce management, that industry is an industry of analytics. It is an industry of it is a lot. It's a lot of work. And so before I started just training people on workforce management, I wanted to know who was interested in workforce management and first teaching you what it just was or telling you what it was. And so I wanted to have a call so that one would understand what workforce management was and to see if that would be something that you would be interested in. So just put in the chat for me really quick. Is this something that you think that you might be interested? Say, I'm interested. If it's something that you think you would be interested in learning more about and even developing a career in. If that's you, just put that in the chat, just so I can just see it's not going to hurt my feelings. Trust me, as you can see, I'm good. uh, so if you're interested in learning more about workforce management, just put it in the chat. And I want to know from you all, what are some of the questions? I talked to you all today about workforce management, but the line is unmuted. So you can go ahead and if you have a question, ask that question. Now I want to kind of hear from you all. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I do. My name is Stephanie Matthews. And my question is, how do I get started with workforce management? Is there a level of education that I have to have in order to attain or to get where you are, or just to get started, like entry level?
Yeah, that's a great question, Stephanie. So I'm going to share a little bit more of my background with you, just to answer your question in a little bit more detail. Is that okay? So,
Yes, that's okay.
for those of you that don't know me personally, I'm going to be as transparent as I possibly can. Okay. So a little bit of my personal story. By the time I was 14, I was pregnant. Okay. So I was a teen mom. I did graduate high school. I went on to go to college, but I haven't finished. So I don't have a degree. You know, college is something that I am super excited about, and I'm a huge proponent of education. Recently, I actually just got accepted into Harvard Business School and University of Pennsylvania, which are two Ivy schools. So I'm super, super excited. I decided to go to University of Penn. I start in August, so I'm super excited about that. But my background again, I was 14 and pregnant, on welfare by the time I was 21, and divorced by the time I was 21. And by the time I had made it to 29, I was turning six figures. And so I don't have a degree. You know, I have college credits, but I don't have a degree. And so a lot of times, a lot of the circles that I go into, again, with workforce management, they're Caucasian males that are 55 and older. They automatically assume I have a degree, but I've never lied on any resume. It's just because of my background in that one day. And so I really attribute my success in workforce management to all God, because I just picked up a book and decided to read it and decided, hey, I think this is something that I'm going to be interested in. And there kicked off my career. So to answer your question, do you have to have a degree? Absolutely not. Will it hinder you? It hasn't hindered me, but I want my degree because that's something personal I want to do. And so I applied for Harvard and University of Penn and got in. So I'm super excited about that, but it's not like it was a requirement. I think that answered your question. Did you have any more questions about that, or did I answer your question? Let me ask that. Did I answer your question, Stephanie?
Yes, you kind of yes, you did answer. I just wanted to add just just with your education and your background, because currently I am a revenue cycle specialist for oncology. I do collections or accounts receivable. I've been working in that field for quite some time. I've been in the healthcare field for about 14 years, and I've worked on the admin side. I was currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in business organizational management and HR management, but I've had to put that on hold. Just, some things that have transpired in my life that, financially that I've had to kind of, set it aside. But I am currently seeking better career opportunities, and this is something that came across by a good friend of mine, Sade Brown, that, I kind of read a little bit about your history and, just career seeking and, just trying to ultimately just, learn a new skill set and try to, remain marketable. And so this is something that kind of sparked my interest. So I was just, really, really amazed just about your history and just, how you've succeeded in this type of platform. So I was just trying to figure out, is there a certain job, because I've been on the job hunt for some time now, so is there a certain job that I should, look for, or, that I can, move forward and grow to kind of like track where you are?
Usually people start off when they're starting in workforce management. Usually people start off as either an analyst, a real-time analyst, and that would be equivalent to, if you have admin background, that would be great, right? So if I was a hiring manager, which like how I was at United Healthcare, I would definitely take somebody that has an admin background. I would take somebody who is good, that either has project management background or business background. Those are the type of skill sets that if you're trying to get in entry level to workforce management and still make decent income, then you want to kind of have that background. Otherwise, sometimes people get into workforce management totally happenstance, right? Like they were a call center agent, like myself, right? I was a call center agent. I didn't know nothing about nothing. I just was like, oh, I like this book. This is dope. Let me read this. That's how I'm a life learner, like, so I'm always trying to learn something. And that's how I got into it. So when I got into workforce management at Wildcard, before I got into, I was a phone agent. So I was making maybe 10, 20, I mean, $10, $15 an hour, somewhere in that range. But then as I segued over to workforce management, that's where my income started to double and triple almost, you know. So if you're trying to get into workforce management, I would highly recommend your admin background, play that up. And it's all about positioning, right? It's all about understanding what workforce management is so that you can position yourself. So even if you're saying, okay, I worked at McDonald's all my life, right? And you're now trying to segue into workforce management, you need to understand what people in workforce management are going to hire managers are looking for, so that you can say, okay, this is what I've done at work at McDonald's that translate to the skill you need. So if you were flipping fries and you had to know exactly how many fries to flip in order to have them hot by the time the car came up to the drive-through window, then guess what? That's what they would consider capacity planning. And so now you're going to translate that skill of flipping fries to what the hiring manager is looking for in workforce management. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does make sense. And just really quick, because I definitely want to, I don't want to kind of overtake the questions. Just really quick, is there any way that possibly like I can get your email information and then maybe you can look at my resume or something like that to kind of set me up to, just for that level of or to start out in this career?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually
Okay.
something that we're going to be talking about here in a moment. I just wanted to get all
Okay.
the questions or see if
Sure.
anyone has any questions or different things like that, just so I can kind of, because I've been in workforce management so long, a lot of times I'm thinking all the way up here when people are like, I just need this bit of information right now. I just need you to look at my resume, So I want to kind of know what your questions are so it can help me
Sure.
understand what you have questions to.
Okay.
Anybody else
Thank
have
you.
questions? Those are great questions, Stephanie. Those are the questions you want to be asking, though. What else? Anybody else got questions?
Hi, Juanita. This is Roberta. I just had a question to find out what would be the next step. Like, if we're interested, what happens next?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Roberta. So that's going to take me to my next point, right? So my next point is that I'm creating a beta. So this is why I was locking the call, right? The reason I locked this call is because I'm creating a community of workforce management people that I train on workforce management, and it'll be locked. I'm going to launch this beta program for those of you only that are on this call, and you will be able to join my community, and it'll be $38 a month. And what you'll have access to is our private Facebook group, where I'm going to do a 6-class series on workforce management that also includes helping you with resume writing and creating your LinkedIn profile to kind of mirror what mine looks like and how I get LinkedIn hits. And then also a private online community where you have your private access with your login and password and everything, where I post jobs that I've seen or that people have reached out to me about that obviously I can't take because I'm traveling every week, or the latest WFM news, and then other trainings. So if you're struggling with Excel, people ask me about that all the time. Like, how do I create this Excel sheet to do X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, well, I have a video for that. Because I travel so much, I can't work with individuals one-on-one, but what I can do is do a brain dump. And so that's what I'm creating in this beta community. I will launch this open to the public in the first quarter of 2020. But until then, this private community, so these 12 individuals that's on here, will have access to all this information first, and you'll be able to be a part of the community. And so to answer your question, I think Stephanie asked a question and Roberta asked a question, what's next? So what's next is I'm going to start creating these videos. So every second and fourth Saturday of the month, I'm going to host a class like this, and I'm going to train you on a particular topic. And so these are the top 5 topics. I wrote a book last year, and it was called The Corporate Playbook. And in that book, I talked about workforce management, but it was a business book, so I didn't talk about it in detail. But I'm going to be talking about what the WFM life cycle looks like. So when you're talking to a hiring manager, you actually have information about what it is you're talking about. We're going to be talking about raw data, data gathering. We're going to be talking about forecasting basics, scheduling fundamentals, real-time and intraday management. And then we're also, like I said, I'll be reviewing resumes, looking at them, giving you some pointers on how you can better position your resume, and also how you can create your LinkedIn profile. I tell people all the time, if you are not on LinkedIn, you're not doing life right, okay? You're not doing life right. You have to be on LinkedIn. As you can see from my LinkedIn profile, and I'm always a behind the scenes person, so I take you guys behind the scenes because I want you to see what's real. You know, I know in today's society with Facebook and social media, people tell you something and it don't be what it really is. This is really what it is. Like, this is for real, you know. This is, I can't give you any more transparency than that. And so for a limited time, today through the end of the year, I will have a private community. And this is me launching a test beta of testing you, training you guys on workforce management, looking at your resume, giving you feedback, and giving you private access to all these different videos that I'll be creating in the training. So all of these classes, these top 6 classes here, will be live. So you'll have access to them live. Once I release them to the public, they'll be playback, so they won't be live classes, okay? And that training class will be $400. So those 6 videos will be a $400 class that I'll release to the public. Right now, you guys will get the WOW membership. And the WOW is a program actually that I started at United Healthcare. It stands for Wonders of Workforce. Okay, so it's basically an online community where you connect. You'll be able to learn from one another, learn from me, learn from workforce professionals that are in this community, and you'll be able to network with other individuals and learn more about workforce management and how you segue into that. Okay, so if you're interested, I'm going to put the link in the chat right now, actually, and you can go ahead.
Hey, Juanita, I'm calling in and I don't have access to the chat. How else would I be able to get that?
If you go to bit.ly, okay, bit.ly, the WOW community, so bit.ly / the WOW community. All right. I also sent out an email to you all, this group here, and I'll send that out. The membership again is $38 a month. Like, again, this class alone, the 6 classes that I'm going to be teaching, that is going to be $400 in the first quarter of 2020 when I release it to the public. I'm launching it to you guys because you'll be my beta test group. Usually I try to release things once they're already ready, but so many people have been asking me about workforce management, and I travel extensively, that if I wait until it's ready, I'll never do it. So I'm gonna release it to the beta community first, get it all ready, and then I'll release it to the public. But when I release it to the public, the membership will be higher, and the classes in the membership or people that are not a part of the membership will be higher. So I'm releasing it to you guys. It'll always be $38 a month for the beta community. So even when it's released to other people and it's much higher, the beta community will always have it because you're part of the beta test group. All right. So if you go to bit.ly / the WOW community and you sign up, it'll ask you to sign up. And once you sign up, then you will you'll sign up for your membership. So signing up for the website will be free, but then you have to click on pay for your membership. And once you pay for that membership, which will be $38, once you pay for that membership, then you'll get access, and then we'll start training when those particular training classes are. I'll also add you to the private Facebook group. And again, like I said, you guys will be part of the beta community. So nothing, I've developed nothing yet. So again, I'm a very transparent person. I have not developed anything for the program yet. These are the classes that I will be training you on though, but that's why you're getting it at such a low rate, is because as you ask me questions, it's going to give me insight to what you want to learn more about, and then I'll add those different things. And so this is hot off the press. When I say is brand new, it is absolutely brand new. And it's just because I've gotten so many requests to teach people on workforce management. The membership is monthly, so you pay $38 a month, okay, until you decide you no longer want to be a part of the WOW community. Let me see. I'm reading questions that have come in. Yes, Sade said, yes, you got to be on LinkedIn. That's where the real money is. Yep. Let's see. Are there any other questions that you guys have? Who's signing up for the WOW community? And again, it's no pressure over here. This is something that I currently already do. So if you're signing up for the WOW community, just drop your name in the chat just so I can kind of see who's already interested in signing up for the WOW community.
Roberta is.
Roberta, Roberta, I can't wait to have you in the WOW community, because I know you're going to be like, yeah, it's going to be good.
I'm excited, super excited.
All right, so are there any, okay, I see some other statements and questions coming in, so I'm gonna wait a second. But does anyone else have any questions about the WOW community? You can always sign up to the site for free, right? So you can go and hit select and join our workforce community. There will be very minimum things that are there. None of these training classes will be there. Our private Facebook community won't be there. But as I see different jobs and different things like that, news and different things like that, you'll probably be able to see those. So I do definitely highly encourage you to still go over to the bit.ly/the WOW community and sign up for the site. And then that way, as different things are dropped and offered, you'll be able to see those. The WOW community, the private community though, will have access to these trainings that will be happening. If you can't join on that particular day, you can see the date next to the class, then you'll have access to the playbacks. Okay, so the first class is going to be coming up. It's going to be September 14th. Okay, that's the second Saturday in September. The next class will be September 28th. And then so forth and so on. So the second and fourth Saturday of every month until November will be these particular classes that you guys that are in the beta community will be able to have access to for free. Of course, you're paying your membership, but those classes, when I drop those classes to the public in first quarter of 2020, those classes will be $400, because that's what that kind of training goes for right now. So if no one else has any questions, I'm going to end the call. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'll hang on here a few more minutes just to see if anyone has any questions. But if no one has any questions, I'll probably go ahead and be ending here soon.
I do have a quick question.
Okay.
This is Simona. I just wanted to know, with the link, how long do we have to get registered into the group, like to pay the membership for the first month to say that we're officially in the beta group?
It will end at the end of this month. So I'm closing out the, what day are we on? Yeah, so yeah, it ends at the beta group will be available, membership will be available till the end of the month.
Okay.
And then if you sign up before the end of the month, then you'll be a part of this particular beta group, and then there won't be any people that are allowed to join because, again, like I said, I'm creating these classes while you guys are in the beta group. So I don't want to have new people join and they don't know what the heck we're talking about. And so it'll be open till the end of this month. That'll give me time to prep for the people that will be a part of the actual first class that will start on September 14th.
All right.
That was a
Thank
good
you so
question.
much.
Thanks, Simona. Who else? Anybody else has any questions?
Yes. Is Facebook the only platform that you will be teaching the classes on?
Oh no, I won't be teaching the classes on Facebook. So Facebook will be one of our social media outlets that we have a private group there, but you'll have private online. So if you go to the bit.ly link and you sign up, that will be your online username and password. So that's where the actual class, and then the classes will be in a format like this.
Okay.
Okay, so the private Facebook community is a community where people are part of the beta group, they'll be able to chat with each other, talk about the jobs that maybe they've seen, or share some of their success stories and different things like that. It's a bonus type of private group.
Okay.
That was a good question. Who asked that question again? I didn't catch that.
Stephanie. It was Stephanie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a good question. All classes will be taught on Facebook.
Okay. I don't have Facebook, so I was just curious.
Oh, okay. Yeah. A lot of people actually surprisingly don't have Facebook, but I hope you get LinkedIn if you don't have LinkedIn.
Yes, I have LinkedIn and I have Instagram.
Okay, well, we win it then. We win it. Okay. Any other questions?
Hey, Juanita, it's Quentin. I just wanted to ask a quick question. I just went to the link, but I put in my email and set up an account and everything, but after that, it just took me to another page, but I'm not sure if we supposed to see like payment options and things like that because I didn't see anything after I created an account.
Yeah, so I got your request came in. I have to approve you for the site, and so
Got
I
it.
just
Okay.
hit approve. So once I hit approve, now you should get an email that says you've been added to the site. If you go to membership, now you can hit membership and actually pay. So it's really, I'm super serious about, like, it will only be a certain amount of people that's in the beta. So that's why I have to actually manually approve. So you say, go to the site, you sign up, and once you sign up, then I'll approve you to be a part of the site, and then you can actually pay for your membership then.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other questions? So yeah, I don't want our beta community or the pilot program to grow any larger than maybe 30 to 50 individuals. So I see that there are 12 people on here on this particular call, and there were some other people that actually signed up for the call, and so I'll probably send this out to them. But other than that, that's as large as our beta, so our pilot group will be. It won't be anything over, 50 people, just to keep it small and intimate so that when I do release it to the public, I've gotten all of you guys' feedback, questions, and hopefully even some of you may have even transitioned into workforce management by that time if it's something that, you're interested in doing. Because our sixth class, class 6, that will be in November 23rd, that's all about resume writing and LinkedIn positioning and all of those different things. By then, you have already went through life cycle, how to gather raw data, forecasting. These are all the things that when you're doing a workforce management interview, if you're hitting these points and you're talking about these things and you can talk about it fluently and articulate, you can be articulate about it, then you'll usually get the job unless you're like a horrible interviewer, which we'll talk about that too. We'll talk about how to make sure that you're positioning yourself well and with confidence. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to stay on. You guys are more than welcome to drop. You can go ahead and start to leave the meeting. But I'm going to stay on just for a few more moments in case anybody else has any questions. So thank you guys so much for joining. I will see you guys in our private community. Bye. Oh, yes, Joshua, the class will be every second and fourth Saturday of every month. So the WFM Life Cycle, so that class is on September 14th, and that is the second Saturday of the month. The fourth Saturday of September is September 28th. So we're going to do those classes every second and fourth Saturday of the month until we get to November. And then it'll be in a very similar format like this. So there'll be go-to meetings, okay? So we'll send out the link, you'll hop on the class and you'll join and we'll train, okay? Only people who are in the beta program, this WOW membership, this WOW community will have access to those classes. Any other questions? Let's see, we have another question. Does the membership start once we pay or in September? The membership will start. The membership will start once you pay. So if you sign up now, it'll charge your card $38. And again, you'll get access to the private community. Already started putting up classes or this videos and different things that you'll have access to. So you'll have access to things before the actual class starts September 14th, but the classes won't start until September 14th. Does that answer your question? So it'll start once you pay, but then the actual course, that 6 class course won't start until September. That's the course that I'm saying when I release it to the public in the first quarter of 2020 will be $400. But again, because you're a part of the beta community, you will already have taken the course. Okay. Let's see. The length of the classes will be 2 hours. The length of the classes will be anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. It does take some time to get through workforce topics just because they are complex. But I'm going to try to keep the classes to 2 hours and under, just so we're not taking up the whole Saturday. Plus, I travel during the week, so I don't want my whole Saturday to be working. But yeah, the length of the classes will be about 2 hours and under. How much will the ongoing, Joshua coming with all the good questions. How much will the ongoing training be once we've mastered first beta classes? So Joshua, like I said, this is a beta. I have not fleshed out too many of the details right now, just because I'm just seeing who all is interested. Again, like I said, I've been in workforce management so long, but the people who are part of the community, the workforce community or the WOW community, you'll have access to all of these classes, and that's why it says you'll get a private online login to free and discounted classes. So for example, these 6 classes that we're about to go through starting September, those will be free to you. Other people will have to pay for them. When I drop new classes, like say, for example, I do a class on advanced forecasting, people that are WOW members, you may get a discount off of that class, a 50% discount. People who are not WOW members, they may have to pay the whole price for the class. But again, those are different details that I'm still fleshing out and kind of taking feedback from you guys. Once I go into the WFM field, will this require me to work out of state or remotely? Well, you can pretty much work anywhere you want to work. So a lot of times when you're starting out in workforce management, they do require you to work on site. So if you're picking a job in Orlando, then they're going to want you to work in the call center in Orlando. With me, I've been in workforce management so long that I now do consulting. I do workforce consulting. And so I travel all over the world. So like I said, last week I was in Tennessee, and the week before that I was in Austin, Texas. So I travel. And so when I'm home, I'm here at our office, our collaborative office in Eagle Lake or Winter Haven, Florida. I live in Eagle Lake. That's why I keep saying Eagle Lake. But our co-sharing space is in Winter Haven, Florida. But you can, it kind of depends on where you go as far as the workforce management field, where you're working and where you're based out of. That's a good question, Joshua. Any other questions? All right. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off. It has been an hour and some change, and so I don't want to hold you up, but thank you so much for joining us here today. I really appreciate you. I really look forward to seeing you over in our private community, our WOW community. Until next time, guys. Bye.